I suspect that, like me, you're seeing plenty of so-called scientists calling on the rest of us to reduce emissions of greenhouse gases. As usual, the lying Michael Mann is leading the charge, even mentioning my name. He claims I'm supported by the fossil fuel industry. Yet, unlike Mann, I've not received a paycheck for more than a dozen years. This video points out three obvious problems associated with reducing greenhouse gas emissions. First, though, I'll point out why the lies continue. As William Stanley Jevons pointed out in his 1865 book, The Coal Question, the finite fossil fuel you and I don't use will be used by someone else. As it turns out, there are about 8 billion someone else's, including Michael Mann and other so-called climate scientists, who are either not familiar with the evidence in their own discipline, or they are lying about said evidence. What are the issues associated with climate scientists asking us to reduce emissions of greenhouse gases? First, and most obviously, we are not stopping. We are not even slowing down greenhouse gas emissions. Rather, as indicated in several peer-reviewed papers, we're speeding up. The SARS-CoV-2 pandemic barely slowed us down, and only briefly. Second, take a look at the people who are asking us to reduce emissions. Then take a look at what they are doing. It won't take you long to figure out that these people want you and me to reduce our emissions. On the other hand, they are making no sacrifices at all. Please inform me about any climate scientist who opted out of the monetary system more than a dozen years ago because it's the monetary system driving us to extinction. Please tell me about any climate scientist who lived off-grid for a decade, growing abundant food and encouraging others to make similar changes. This is called leading by example, and it's the approach I've been taking since mid-2009. I doubt you can find a single climate scientist who takes this approach. Thirdly, and finally, abundant evidence indicates we've locked in higher temperatures in the future even if we stop burning all fossil fuels right now. This phenomenon results from two contributing factors: a lag in maximum heating after greenhouse gases are emitted, and the loss in aerosol masking associated with a reduction in industrial activity. Let's take a look at each of these two outcomes as supported by evidence. Maximum warning occurs about 1 decade after a carbon dioxide emission. That's the title of a paper in the peer-reviewed Environmental Research Letters. It was published on December 2nd, 2014. Michael Mann and other so-called climate scientists have recently discovered this paper, which I reported at GuyMcPherson.com shortly after it was published in 2014. Michael Mann and other so-called climate scientists are calling this good news, which suggests to me that they have no idea what comprises good news. Even more importantly than the 10-year lag in maximum heating after release of carbon dioxide is the aerosol masking effect, sometimes called global dimming. A paper on this subject was published on June 15, 2021 in the prestigious peer-reviewed Nature Communications. This research found that loss of industrial activity will cause an abrupt increase in the global average temperature of about 50% additional heating beyond what has occurred since the Industrial Revolution began in 1750. How abruptly would the additional heating occur? According to climate scientist James Hansen in several interviews, the aerosols fall out of the atmosphere in about 5 days. Depending upon the season and persistence with which this abrupt heating occurs, that's enough to cause the loss of all life on Earth. After all, the peer-reviewed literature pointed out in November of 2018 that all planetary life can be annihilated because of a rapid rise in global average temperature through a process called co-extinctions. Think about that, please. All planetary life means humans too, no matter how clever we are. We cannot live without a living planet to support us. Again, I point out, we are one. As a result, please join me in supporting and sharing information about the mere reflection framework. In my informed opinion, it alone might preserve habitat for life on Earth. It's beyond a moonshot, and it's still worth a try. After all, the other likely outcome is far too horrific to justify. Find the details about the mere reflection framework in the description beneath this video, and also at GuyMcPherson.com, coincident with the release of this video. Feel free to like, subscribe, and join this channel as a member. I appreciate your ongoing support.